Hello, and welcome back to Crafty Mom Creations. I'm Melissa, and today we are going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you what I've been working on throughout last week, and then we are going to talk about a cancer crochet fundraiser, which is very close to my heart. And trigger warning for anybody who is dealing with that sort of thing right now. I don't want to upset anybody, but this is, I feel like this is important. So let's get to the crochet, the fun part first. If you watched last week's video, my son came up with an idea for a flamingo, and this is what I created for him. It just kind of quickly sneak peeked it in the video with the interview with him. But he asked for a blue flamingo with a sombrero and maraca. So that is all done. It is my Phoebe pattern that I just kind of made up a maraca and a sombrero for. Usually she's pink, but this is for the boy. So I did that one. I also did this for me because, of course, this is copyright and I cannot sell it because it is copyright. But Stitch is my favorite, and I wanted to make something for me. So there we have Stitch, and this is Crochet Grove's free pattern on Ravelry that I used. And then I made this. It is a cherry pie trivet, I guess. My husband saw it on Facebook and he thought it was so cute, and he's like, you need to make one, you need to make one. So I made one, and the pattern wasn't fantastic. The back ended up a little bit bigger than the front, even though I blocked the front, the red piece here, to try and make it bigger, and it didn't work out too well. But we have that, and then I made a little capybara. Isn't it cute? And this is out of the baby bear from Michael's. I guess they're not calling it Cozy Cub anymore. It came back as baby bear. And I made this dragon. It is the snuggler version of it, so it's not stuffed on the inside, but it is so cute. My daughter is begging me for it already, and I can't remember the yarn I used, but it is a Bernat blanket. It came in a cake. I can't remember the name. I'll put it down in the comments when I go back to my room and find out what it was. I also finished off a little pickle. Somebody was supposed to come and pick it up, but they never showed up. So it's in the pile for market prep, I guess. So that is what I've been working on this week. And so on to the hard stuff. So I started seeing a lot of February knitting for cancer on my Facebook. I was tagged in it a couple times. Even though I'm not a knitter, I'm a crocheter. I guess we fall into the same category of fiber artists. But oh, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. So why this is important to me. In March of 2023, I was diagnosed with stage 4 papillary thyroid cancer. I was 38 years old. I had initially gone to the doctor because I was having a lot of trouble losing weight. I was working out, eating properly, drinking all the water. I was doing everything right, and I was gaining weight, not losing weight. And that's still an issue, but anyways, I went to my family doctor for a full physical, and I explained to her what was going on. I showed her that I was using a food tracking app for calorie deficit. I have a smartwatch that tracks all my movements, and I'm showing her, like, look, I'm doing all the right things and the weight's not coming off. So she sent me to an endocrinologist, and the first thing he did was check my thyroid. He was touching it and getting me to swallow, and he's like, you need to have your thyroid check. It's a little bit enlarged. And then, of course, he gave me the same spiel as any other doctor does. Lose weight, you'll be fine. You know, high protein, low carb, no sugar, blah, blah, blah. All the things I was already doing and not working. So he did offer me a medication called Crochet to help with the weight loss. That was not successful. I was not myself on that medication, and I had to stop it. So he sent me for an ultrasound, and the ultrasound came back suspicious. And then he sent me for a biopsy, and that came back suspicious for cancer. Now, when I found out in March of 23, I had this was the tail end of COVID, so we're all still wearing masks. I'm the one person who can go into the hospital with my mom, and my mom was in for a pre-surgical appointment for her back. And I was in the waiting room, and she had gone in to do her appointment, and I was doing my Zoom doctor's appointment with my endocrinologist, and he told me that my thyroid had cancerous nodules on it and several of my lymph nodes. And I started crying. Of course I started crying. I was devastated. I'm 38 years old. I have 5 kids. And I'm sitting there going, well, now what? And his response was, don't worry about it. You got the good cancer. Let me see you smile. Take your mask down and let me see you smile. That was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do, was to smile through all that confusion and so much unknown. And of course, I'm sitting in the waiting room by myself. My mom's in another room. And my husband, of course, knows I have this appointment today to find out the results of the biopsy. And he's texting me. And I'm sitting there in tears, and people are walking by me, looking at me. And I can't call my husband at work. He works, basically he works on the road. He's a CCTV operator for the sewer systems, and his company gets hired by municipalities to check out the sewers. So I can't call him and tell him. They can text him. And I text him and I tell him the results. And it was hard. And to be told, you got the good kind of cancer. Now, I am not taking away, pardon me, sorry. I'm not taking away from anybody else's experience with cancer, or the loss of a family member or somebody close to you, or even just somebody you knew that didn't get the good kind. It's still cancer. It's still heartbreaking and devastating, and the unknown, the appointments, the anxiety of waiting for results it's difficult. And this is why this crochet fundraiser is important to me, because I've lived it. Even if it do have the good kind, because honestly, there is no good kind of cancer. Whether you survive it or not, it's still not good. So once I got the results, we decided between my husband and I that we weren't going to tell the kids, at least not yet. We were going to wait until we had answers. We had something good to tell them. At the time, my kids were younger, of course. My youngest was 7. My oldest would have been 13, 14 at the time. Also about a week or so before my oldest's birthday. So we made the decision not to tell the kids. Not right away. So my endocrinologist decided that I needed to see a surgeon to have my thyroid and the nodules removed. So that started a process of more ultrasounds, more blood work, more appointments. In July 23, hubby and I made arrangements to have the kids go away for a week while I had the surgery. My boys went to their father's house, which is a normal summer thing, and the girls went to their grandparents to the cottage for a week. They knew I was having surgery. They just knew that I was having my thyroid removed. They didn't know that there was anything going on with that. And so I went to the pre-op, and again, they're looking through my chart saying, "Oh, Melissa, don't worry. You got the good kind of cancer. The survival rate after 5 years is 95%. Great, I'm gonna survive. That's fantastic." But in the same breath, they're also telling me, make sure you make arrangements. Make sure that everything is in order just in case. The conversations I had to have with my husband and my mom about arrangements for my kids, that's not something you want to think about at 38 years old. Your kids are not grown up yet. They still need you. And being the mom who doesn't work outside of the home, because I do have 5 children and they have appointments. My 3 boys have ADHD and they get in trouble at school, doctor's appointments, therapy. It's a lot. Plus, of course, snow days, sick days. There's very few weeks that go by that one of them is not home because of a cold or something they picked up at school. And of course, with my boys having ADHD, they can't be trusted to be left home alone. So they need me. And here I am sitting in the hospital being told I have the good cancer, but make arrangements. And then knowing that there'd be a fight if anything did happen to me for custody of my boys. That's a whole another ball of wax I'm not going to get into. But having to write out a will, at least contemplate it, because I never actually did it. I had hope that things would work out, and thus far they have. But having to think about that, sitting on the couch and watching your children play Lego on the floor in front of you at 7, 8 years old, that's heavy. And it's not easy. So in July of 23, I had my thyroid removed and several lymph nodes. I believe they took 5 or 6 lymph nodes. That was in July. And I remember my boys texting me from their dad's house, "Mom, we want to talk to you. Are you okay?" And me not being able to talk because my throat was cut wide open, and yeah, not being able to tell them, "Hey, I'm okay." Not being able to verbalize that for them. And then we spent 3 days in the hospital. And I came home for a few days, and then we went to pick up my daughters from their grandparents' cottage. And we had FaceTimed with them because, of course, they were worried about me too. And again, remember, my kids don't know it's cancer at this point. The grandparents know. We told them about it, so they were in the loop. They understood what was going on. And I remember FaceTiming with them from the cottage after my surgery, after I came home, and the look on my oldest daughter's face when she saw the stitches in my neck. And this is not even knowing that I have cancer, just knowing that I had to have surgery and that I was not well. It sticks with you. And it sticks with you for a long time. So fast forward a couple months, and I have other appointments, blood work, checkups, ultrasounds to make sure everything was got. And then my results came back from the thyroid itself, because they sent it off to Sunnybrook to be tested to find out exactly what kind of cancer it was and how bad it was. So it came back that I had stage 4 multi-something or other papillary thyroid carcinoma, and that several of the lymph nodes were had cancer, and that several of my parathyroid glands were also taken out at the same time because they were inside the thyroid. So I was battling low calcium. I still am to this day battling low calcium, low vitamin D. So from there, the results were sent to another cancer committee where they decided on how much radioactive iodine therapy I had to have. I was given in December. Okay, hold on, back up a bit. They decided that the radioactive iodine treatment was the way to go to make sure that everything in the thyroid bed and the nodules were zapped, if you will. And at this point, we had to tell the kids, because I had to be away from them for a week. And it was a week or two before Christmas. I think it was December 12th. And trying to come up with an excuse why Mom can't be around for a week because she's radioactive is it wasn't easy. So we decided to tell the kids. The kids were devastated, as was both myself and my husband telling them. They had questions, and trying to explain to them, as it was explained to me, that it was the good kind of cancer that would be fine. was not. You can't explain to children that there's a good cancer. It's we sat them down at the kitchen, our dining room table, as we do for all important events. Every dinner, everybody sits around the table and we talk. Like I said, there's no easy way to tell children that their parent has cancer. And again, trying to explain to them that it's the good kind of cancer, that it is treatable and it's survivable. They don't understand that. So there was lots of questions, lots of tears, lots of uncertainty, which is exactly what we tried to avoid for as long as possible with them, because there was no way to hide it anymore. There was no more going out on the balcony to talk about my latest appointment details or the results of the latest ultrasound or blood work. We had no choice but to tell them. So we made all the arrangements for me to be away for a week because I was going to be radioactive. Now, you'd expect from kids that being radioactive would be like Spider-Man. No. They were scared. They were scared for me. They were scared for themselves. And it was hard not to be there for them while I was going through this. Because cancer doesn't just affect you or the person who has it. It affects your family. It affects your life, your job, your everything. And throughout all of this, I was crocheting. Crochet has always been my self-care. Not only is it my business, my hobby, it is my self-care. This is not the first time it has saved me. And I want it to be that for somebody else, which is why I'm doing this. So fast forward 2 years, I still go to the endocrinologist every 3 to 6 months, depending on what's going on. I have a spot on the left side that they're still keeping an eye on. I just did an ultrasound a couple months ago. There's no growth in the thyroid bed. I have a full body scan in March at Lakeridge Health Oshawa. And that brings me back to the fundraiser. In the comments, I will have a Google document for all the fundraising information for donating monetarily to the hospital. None of the funds will go through me. You can donate right to the hospital itself. I will be collecting donations for the Cancer Care Center of crocheted items. Now, I'm just going to quickly take a look at my email because I have been talking back and forth with the fundraisers committee or whichever it is from Lakeridge Health. So they know this is going on. we've been contacting each other back and forth, and so there will be a fundraising page, and I appreciate any and all donations, even if you're not from the Oshawa area. And if you don't want to donate to the Oshawa Lakeridge Cancer Care Center, consider reaching out to your own local hospital to do something, whether it's donating crocheted stuff for their cancer care center or monetarily through a fundraiser that they already have going. Anybody in the general vicinity of me, I will be collecting crocheted items for donation that I'll be taking into the hospital when I go in for my full body scan in March. So donation page, I just have to fill out a couple things to create the page for them. And the donations, what they're looking for, which is important, of course. There we go, there it is. So, as you know, I mostly do the plushies, but I do wearables, hats, whatever kind of tickles my fancy at the time. So right now, they're definitely accepting crochet items. So they're only accepting regular size blankets and chemo hats right now. So the blankets need to be 45 inches by 55 inches in a number 4 worsted weight yarn so that they can be machine washed and dried. That's important. Same with the hats. If you're donating, like all the information for me will be in a Google Doc in the comment or the description. I will have patterns there for you, as well as sizing and all that. I do want to say though, when it comes to the chemo hats, again with the 4 worsted weight yarn, I understand that this stuff is being donated and you might want to do this cheaply, but please consider how itchy some of those yarns are for chemo hats, because you're already sensitive to the therapies you're receiving for cancer. I don't want to add on to the itchiness, irritation from an itchy yarn. So please consider that if you are either going to donate through myself or to your own local cancer center. So every day in February, I'm going to be posting on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. Stitching for the Cure. We did day 1 yesterday. I'll be doing day 2 here shortly. And right now I am working on a granny square blanket that will be the first piece that I finish for the cancer donations. I already have quite a few. Oh, this one really have to. I already have quite a few done, and these will not be the only ones. My daughter and I were talking about how many squares I needed and what I was going to do with it. But I bought a couple balls of this Red Heart all-in-one granny square. And to be honest, it's not very itchy. However, you will notice that, especially right here, it didn't actually line up very well to be an all-in-one. So same here, because I didn't want to keep cutting and changing my hook and playing around with it. We kind of went freestyle a little bit with it. But we are going to mix these ones with these ones here. So we're going with a purple theme, And this is how it kind of turns out. So we're going to be mixing these two together to create our first blanket for the Cancer Care Center in Oshawa. And that is what I'm going to be working on for the next couple days, because I have all of these done, and all of these done. They do need to be blocked still before I put them together. And I still have one whole ball of this one left and a little bit left of the second one on this color. So yeah, so that's the one I'm using right now, the purple. The colorway is soft white amethyst. And I had 2 balls of each, so I'm going to turn it into a blanket. And then we are going to start on some chemo hats. They will all be free patterns. Again, it'll be in the description once I get that all organized. So this has been an emotional video, and I'm sorry if I triggered anybody, but this is important to me. And I think with crochet being such a self-care lifesaver for me, I needed to share it. So my apologies for crying, and it's a hard topic to talk about. And I hope that you will either donate to your own local hospital, whether it's finished items, hats, blankets. I know some places take crochet toys and stuff like that for kids. And if you're local to me, we can have a quick conversation about where you can drop off any donations, or I can come pick it up. I'm at home all day, so I have the time to come out and see you. So that is all for today. I appreciate you sitting along with me and following along in my journey so far, and I hope you would like to be involved. We'll see you next week, where I will show you what I have finished for the cancer care donations, and hopefully we can get a nice big stack of stuff for them to feel maybe a little more human. We'll see you on the next one.